My name is Sienna Blake and I am 29 years old. 7 years ago I signed enlistment papers instead of dorm move-in forms, not because I dreamed of uniform life, but because my parents handed my $200,000 share of a college trust entirely to my younger sister Paige. You will figure it out, they told me. You always do. That one sentence, casual and dismissive, sent me to basic training while Paige toured a private campus with matching luggage. I spent 7 years earning what she received as a gift-wrapped entitlement. I worked overnight shifts, chipped away at loans that should never have existed, and built a life without their help. Meanwhile, they posted celebration after celebration for Paige and rarely mentioned my name. Then at her business school graduation party in front of more than 150 guests, my 83-year-old grandmother stood up and said 5 words that split the room in half. I am pressing charges against you. Before I tell you what happened next, please take a moment to like and subscribe, but only if this story speaks to you, and drop a comment with where you are watching from in your local time. I read every single one. Here is how a $400,000 betrayal unraveled in the most public way possible. The favoritism did not begin with the trust. It began when I was 11 and Paige was 8. I brought home a report card covered in top marks as I always did. My mother glanced at it while sorting towels. Good job. We knew you could handle it. That was the entire response. No dinner out, no proud photo in the frame on the mantle. The following week Paige earned a B+ in math and my parents treated it like a championship. They took her to her favorite steakhouse and spent the whole meal praising her effort. We are so proud of you for pushing through, my father said, ruffling her hair. I sat there moving food around my plate, confused about what I had done wrong. By 16 I understood the pattern. Being capable meant being invisible. Paige struggled with homework so they hired tutors. I taught myself from library books. Paige needed help with applications so they paid a consultant. I hunted scholarships alone on school computers. On my 16th birthday they sat me down for a talk that was not about driving privileges. It was about responsibility and saving money and not expecting handouts. Paige received a used sedan on her 16th birthday 2 years later. Paige needs more support, my mother explained when I asked why the rules felt different. You are mature for your age. You understand, right? I did understand. Needing help earned help. Being strong earned silence. My Aunt Diane noticed. She was my father's older sister and she never softened her opinions for holiday peace. Richard, you are taking advantage of Sienna's independence, she told him once at Thanksgiving. That girl is drowning and you cannot see it because she is too proud to ask for a life raft. My father shrugged. Sienna is fine. She always is. I learned early that strength could become a cage. I just did not know yet how expensive that cage would become. I was 18, 3 months from graduation, when everything changed. I had been accepted to a state university with a partial scholarship that covered tuition but not housing or books. I needed the trust my grandparents had funded when I was still in diapers. Your grandma and grandpa wanted both girls to have the same start, my father had said my whole life. I sat at the kitchen table with my acceptance letter and a list of costs, ready to plan. My parents exchanged a look that made my stomach drop before anyone spoke. We need to talk about the trust, my mother began, eyes on the salt shaker. Okay, I said slowly. Paige will need more support, my father said. Her grades are not as strong as yours. She needs the full amount to have the same chance. The words did not land at first. The full amount, but the trust was split for both of us. It is still family money, my mother said, voice sharp. We are doing what is best for everyone. But half of it is mine. Grandpa would want us to be fair, my father cut in. You got the scholarship. You are resourceful. Paige needs this more. I stared at them. So I get nothing. You will figure it out, my mother said, already standing to end the conversation. You always do. Those 5 words echoed all night. I did not argue. I could not find language big enough for the hurt. I walked to my room, closed the door, and searched military education benefits until my eyes burned. 3 months later I was at basic training. Paige posted orientation photos from a private university, captioned about blessed parents and bright futures. Nobody mentioned that belief cost $400,000. While Paige picked dorm decor, I learned to field strip a rifle under time pressure. The contrast was never lost on me. Every rare scroll through social media showed the life I had been denied. Paige at sorority events. Paige studying abroad in Lisbon. Paige at formal dinners with friends who wore designer labels without thinking. My parents turned their online profiles into a shrine for her. So proud of our college girl appeared under every photo. Football games, library selfies, exam papers held up like trophies. I sent updates too. A photo after an obstacle course. A message after my first month. Replies came late and thin. Good job. Stay safe. Once, nothing at all. Aunt Diane was different. She texted regularly and remembered my unit and asked real questions. Your grandmother asks about you constantly, she wrote once. She seems worried in a way that feels new. That struck me as strange. Grandma Ruth had gone quiet after I enlisted. I assumed disappointment, maybe confusion. I called her once from base during a rare free hour. Grandma, it is Sienna. Just checking in. A long pause. Are you all right, sweetheart? Really all right. I am fine. It is hard but I am managing. Another pause. Your grandfather would respect your strength, but Sienna, strength should not mean struggle. Do you understand what I am saying? Not really. I think so. Good. Remember that. Her voice had an edge I did not recognize. And remember that some family decisions are not what they appear to be. I hung up more confused than before. While I tried to decode that warning, Paige picked a spring break destination. 7 years later I came home. Discharge papers signed. Duffel packed. 4 months of savings between me and the unknown. I used military benefits to finish a bachelor's online at the state school I had originally planned to attend, without the campus experience Paige had enjoyed. The first family dinner was supposed to be a homecoming. It felt like walking into someone else's highlight reel. Paige is applying to top business programs, my mother announced before appetizers cooled. Harvard, Stanford, Columbia, that is great, I said, trying to sound sincere. Tell them about the interview, my father prompted. For 30 minutes I listened to GMAT scores, recommenders, and career maps. When silence finally opened, I mentioned project management roles and logistics. My father nodded vaguely. That is nice. The military must have been quite an experience, my mother said in a tone that meant let us close that chapter. At least you got that out of your system. Now you can settle down. Paige looked me up and down. Military really changed you. 7 years tends to do that, I said quietly. Nobody asked about deployment. Nobody asked about transition. Nobody asked if I was okay. Over dessert I noticed new furniture. A renovated bathroom. A new car in the driveway, Paige's graduation gift from the previous spring. They had money for all of that and not for a single care package in 7 years. That night in my childhood bed I realized I had been gone 7 years and nobody had actually missed me. I found a veterans support group 3 weeks after coming home because I did not know where else to put the weight I carried. That is where I met Marcus Webb. He was 31, 8 years in service, with the same lost look I saw in mirrors. First meeting, he asked, sitting beside me with coffee. That obvious. You are sitting like you might need to run. I did the same thing once. It gets easier or at least different. We talked after meetings, then coffee between meetings. Marcus understood things I never had to explain. The guilt of being home. The gap between civilians and people who had worn the uniform. How ordinary problems felt both small and impossible. 6 weeks after we met, he asked why I enlisted. I had never told the full story to anyone. With Marcus it spilled out. The trust, the dismissal, 7 years watching Paige live on money that was legally half mine. He listened without interrupting. When I finished he was quiet. Can I ask you something? Sure. Did your grandmother actually agree to give Paige everything? I blinked. My parents said it was a family decision. That is not what I asked. The question hung in the air. I had never confirmed it with Grandma Ruth. I had swallowed their version whole. People who call you strong all the time, Marcus said, usually mean they do not want to help you. Strength is not a reason to deserve less. Nobody had ever said that to me. I drove home thinking about Grandma Ruth's warning years earlier. Some things are not what they seem. Maybe it was time to ask direct questions. The text landed in the family group chat on a Tuesday morning. Paige wrote that she had been accepted to Columbia's MBA program. My mother replied instantly with pride and a promise to call that night. My father wrote that of course they would help with tuition. I stared at my phone. Of course they would help Paige. Me. Congrats Paige. That is a huge achievement. I meant it. She had earned the acceptance. Then the follow-up messages came. Tuition would be around $120,000 for 2 years. An investment in her future. Something snapped inside me. I typed where that money was coming from. I am still paying loans. Typing bubbles appeared and vanished before my father answered. Your military benefits covered your degree. Paige needs different support. I typed that my benefits covered a state school while Paige got private undergraduate and now MBA, both from money that should have been split. My mother wrote that I was bitter again and they had done their best. Paige wrote that I was ruining her moment and this was why they focused on her. I did not type what I truly thought. I scrolled to Aunt Diane's contact instead. I need Grandma Ruth's number, I told her. And I need to know how that trust was set up. A long pause. It is about time, she said. I will text you both now. I called Grandma Ruth that evening, hands unsteady. She answered on the first ring. Sienna, I wondered when you would call. Grandma, I need to ask about the college trust. I have waited 10 years for this conversation, she said, voice steady and almost relieved. Go ahead, sweetheart. Mom and Dad said you agreed to give it all to Paige because she needed more. Silence stretched. They told you I agreed. Her tone went flat and hard. Yes, they said it was a family decision. That is a lie. Your grandfather and I created that trust with clear instructions. $200,000 for each grandchild at age 18 for education. Non-negotiable. The floor tilted. They said Grandpa wanted I know what they said, she continued. I did not step in because I hoped they would correct themselves and see what they were doing to you. Pause. I was wrong to wait. Sienna, are you saying they took my share? I am saying your father violated his duty as trustee and I have already contacted Colin Marsh, your grandfather's attorney. He has been investigating. Investigating what? Everything. Records. Withdrawals. Documents. What your parents did was not unfair parenting alone. It was misappropriation. It was illegal. I sat down hard. Why did you not tell me sooner? Because you needed to be ready to stand up for yourself. You needed to question what you were told. Are you ready now? I thought about Marcus's words. About Paige's messages. About 7 years of being invisible. Yes, I said, I am ready. Colin Marsh's email arrived near midnight. Subject line Thomas Family Trust confidential documents. Marcus sat beside me for support. The first attachment was the original trust from 2 years before I was born. The language was painfully clear. Upon each grandchild reaching 18, $200,000 for education including tuition, housing, books, and related costs. Equal distribution between beneficiaries. Equal. Underlined in Colin's notes. The second attachment showed withdrawals starting the month I turned 18. All $400,000 to Paige's accounts or her school's. Nothing to me. The third attachment was an amendment dated 3 months after my 18th birthday, supposedly signed by Grandma Ruth, allowing flexible distribution at trustee discretion. Colin's note read signature analysis complete. Forgery. Comparison samples attached. Pressure patterns and loop shapes do not match. Marcus read over my shoulder. Your father forged your grandmother's signature, he said quietly. That is fraud, I whispered. Colin's closing paragraph listed embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duty, forgery. My phone buzzed. Colin wrote that the question was not whether I had a case but whether I wanted to pursue it. They did not just choose Paige over me, Marcus said. They committed crimes to do it. I drove to my parents' house the next morning with printed documents folded in my bag. My father answered in weekend clothes, coffee in hand. His smile faded when he saw my face. Sienna, what is wrong? I walked past him into the kitchen and laid the papers on the counter. Explain this. He picked up the first page. Color drained from his face. Where did you get these? Grandma's attorney. You forged her signature. You stole my share. It is not that simple. Yes, it is. $200,000 for me. $200,000 for Paige. You took it all. My mother appeared in the doorway. What is going on? I did not look away from my father. He committed fraud against his own daughter. Your father did what he had to, my mother snapped. Paige would not have made it without full support. Then you should have asked Grandma to change the trust legally, not steal. We will pay you back, my father said quickly. Just do not make this public. Think about Paige's career. Something in me went cold. I thought about my career in uniform for 7 years. I thought about every night shift paying loans that should never have existed. Now you think about consequences. I picked up the documents and walked toward the door. Sienna, please. Her graduation is next month. Do not ruin her party. I stopped and looked back. I am not ruining anything. The truth will do that on its own. His face crumpled. I am your daughter too. You just never acted like it. I left before he could answer, his coffee mug frozen halfway to his mouth. I need to pause here because this moment changed everything for me. For years I thought I was wrong for feeling hurt. Seeing those documents proved they did not overlook me. They actively stole from me. If this resonates, hit like and tell me in the comments if you ever discovered a family secret that rewired your whole life. Okay, back to what happened at Paige's graduation party. 3 weeks before the event, my parents started texting again. Please come to Paige's party. Let us put this behind us. We are family. I did not reply right away. I called Grandma Ruth instead. They want me at the party, I told her. Of course they do. They want to control the story. Will you go? I had been thinking about it. Yes, but not to forgive. To witness. Satisfaction entered her voice. Good. I will be there too with Colin. Grandma, what are you planning? Nothing you need to worry about. Just be present. Let the truth speak when it is ready. Marcus was less cryptic. Are you sure? Public fallout is intense. I am not confronting anyone, I said. I am showing up. Whatever happens, happens. You are showing up after learning your parents committed fraud. Something will happen. He was right, but I had no plan to make a scene. In the military, I learned that sometimes the strongest move is standing at attention while other people's choices speak for themselves. I need to see this through, I said. Marcus nodded. Then I am your ride home. Whatever happens, you are not alone. The week before the party, Grandma Ruth called again. Colin finished the investigation. There is more than we first thought. What do you mean? We will discuss it at the party. Some conversations need the right audience. Her voice had steel in it. I had always known her as gentle. I was learning she could be gentle and absolutely relentless. Harborview Event Hall was exactly the kind of venue my parents loved. Elegant, expensive, impressive. I arrived with Marcus to find the ballroom packed. More than 150 guests. Paige's MBA cohort in business casual. Professors from Columbia. Extended family I had not seen in years. Colleagues of my parents. Banners read "Congratulations Paige." A display table held photos of her journey. Sorority events. Study abroad. Graduation day. Not one photo of me in uniform. My mother spotted me immediately and hurried over, smile tight. You came. Thank you. Please just smile and be happy for your sister today. I am here, I said. That was all I promised. Paige appeared in a navy dress, polished and professional. She saw me and her expression flickered. Glad you could make it, she said. Try not to make it awkward. Before I could answer, relatives descended with the same polite questions. What have you been up to? How was the military? What is next? I gave short answers. Nobody expected more. My father hovered near the bar, watching me with nervous eyes, glancing toward the door every few minutes like he expected someone. Then Grandma Ruth arrived in a burgundy dress with pearls, calm as stone. Beside her walked Colin Marsh in his 60s, leather briefcase in hand. That is Colin, I told Marcus quietly. Aunt Diane appeared at my elbow. Your grandma looks like she is on a mission. She usually is, I said. Grandma Ruth caught my eye across the room and gave a small deliberate nod. Whatever was coming had already been set in motion. My father tapped the microphone. Can I have everyone's attention? Conversations faded. Guests turned with drinks raised and polite smiles ready. I want to speak about what this day means, he began, voice warm and proud. Patricia and I sacrificed for this moment. We made hard choices as parents. We prioritized wisely. We invested in Paige's future with everything we had. My hands clenched under the table. Not every parent would go this far, he continued. But we believed in her potential from the start. We saw something special and did whatever it took. He paused, voice thickening. And Paige, you proved us right. You took every opportunity and maximized it. This MBA is only the beginning. Applause rolled through the room. Paige stood hugging our parents. My mother cried. Professors nodded approval. My father raised his glass. Some people said we gave Paige too much support. I say we gave her exactly what she needed. And now we watch her soar. More applause. Glasses lifted. So let us toast to Paige. To her achievements, her future, and to parents who invest in excellence. Hear, hear, someone called. I sat perfectly still, watching my father frame theft as wisdom and fraud as sacrifice. That is when Grandma Ruth stood up. The room quieted again, but the silence felt different this time. Before we toast, she said, voice clear and calm, I would like to say something. My father's smile froze. Mom, this is not the time. Oh, I think it is, Richard. You just gave a lovely speech about sacrifice and investment. She walked toward the front. Colin followed with his briefcase. Let us talk about what was actually sacrificed. Conversations stopped. Guests turned, confused but attentive. Paige's eyes went wide. Mom, please sit down, my mother hissed. Grandma Ruth ignored her. Colin, would you distribute those documents? Colin opened his briefcase and handed folders to key tables. Professors, extended family, friends of my parents. People opened them slowly, curiosity turning to concentration. Grandma, what is this? Paige asked, voice thin. The truth about your education fund, sweetheart. She turned to the room. That fund Richard mentioned. My late husband and I created it 29 years ago. $400,000, $200,000 for Sienna, $200,000 for Paige. She held up a document. Equal distribution, non-negotiable. Those were the terms. The room went silent enough to hear paper rustling. Grandma Ruth pointed at me. I had not moved. Sienna received zero. She enlisted to afford college with no help from money that was legally hers. Paige's face went white. Dad said it was family money and you agreed. I never agreed. Her voice cut clean. Your father forged my signature. Gasps moved through the crowd like a wave. Colin stepped forward, attorney voice trained to carry. The documents show 6 years of withdrawals from the Thomas Family Trust. All $400,000 went to Paige's education. That is embezzlement. Mom, please, we can discuss this privately, my father started. You had 10 years to discuss it privately, Grandma Ruth said. You chose to double down. So now I am pressing charges. The words hung in the air. Paige stood, chair scraping. No, this cannot be right. Dad. My father's mouth opened and closed. No words came. One professor approached Paige. Paige, is this true? Your funding came from misappropriated trust money. I did not know, Paige said, voice cracking. I swear I did not know. The professor's face was grave. This is extremely serious. The ethics board will need to be notified. Another professor read bank statements with growing alarm. These show explicit trust violations. This is not a family dispute. This is fraud. My mother shot up. This is ridiculous. You are all overreacting. But eyes on my parents had changed. Whispers spread. He forged his own mother's signature. $400,000. That poor girl served while Paige turned to me, mascara running. Sienna, you did this. You ruined my day. I met her eyes, voice steady. I did not do anything. The truth did. But there is more, Grandma Ruth said, and silence returned. Colin pulled another document. During our investigation we found additional irregularities. My father made a sound like he had been punched. Colin continued, voice clinical. Richard's mother, Eleanor's late husband's first wife, also established an educational trust. $50,000 for each grandchild. That money also went entirely to Paige. Different account. Same pattern. Aunt Diane stood. Richard, you stole from 2 separate trusts. My father's face crumpled. Tears rolled down his cheeks. I just wanted her to have every advantage. I was going to pay Sienna back eventually. You had 10 years, Grandma Ruth said coldly. You bought a new car instead. Paige sank into her chair. $250,000, she whispered. My entire education was my father tried to speak. You did work hard, he said desperately. You did earn it with stolen money, Paige's voice rose. Everything I achieved. Everyone here thinks I am a fraud now. You are not, I said quietly. The room turned. You completed the work. You earned the degree. You just did not know where the funding came from. But members of Paige's cohort were already standing, shaking heads. A consulting supervisor gestured for Paige to follow her. Paige, we need to talk privately now. Paige's perfect day disintegrated in real time. As she left with her supervisor, Grandma Ruth sat at the front, suddenly looking her age. I need everyone to understand something, she said. I did not want to do this publicly. I gave Richard multiple chances. She looked at my father. 3 years ago I asked if Sienna had received her share. He lied to my face and said she chose military benefits instead. Last year when Paige applied to MBA programs I asked again. He assured me both girls were treated fairly. That is when I hired Colin. Colin held up bank statements. Approximately $30,000 from the trusts went to non-educational expenses. Vacation deposits, car payments, credit card debt. Aunt Diane's voice cut through murmurs. Richard, you did not just steal from your daughters. You stole from your own mother's legacy to your father. Grandma Ruth's eyes welled up for the first time. My husband worked himself to death building a business so these girls would have opportunities. He made me promise both granddaughters would get equal support. She looked at my father and I saw grief beneath the anger. You dishonored his memory. You violated his final wishes. And you did it while standing at his funeral telling me you would take care of everything. That is when my father completely broke down. Not from shame at being caught alone. From the weight of what he had done. The years of lies. The people he had hurt. I am sorry, he gasped between sobs. I am so sorry. I thought I was helping. But nobody wanted to hear what he thought anymore. The event hall manager appeared at my mother's elbow. Mrs. Thomas, I need you to settle the bill now. We cannot extend credit under these circumstances. My mother's face went red then white. She fumbled for her purse, hands shaking. Around the room social consequences rippled outward. My uncle stood and walked to my father. Richard, remember 2 years ago when I lent you $15,000 for that emergency? Was that a lie too? My father could not answer. Extended family gathered bags and made quiet excuses to leave. A neighbor who had been at countless barbecues stopped at their table. Patricia, I think it is best if you do not come to book club anymore. Paige returned from her conversation with the supervisor, face blotchy and tear-stained. She walked past our parents without looking and came to where I sat with Marcus. My offer has been rescinded, she said, voice hollow. Ethical concerns regarding funding sources. I did not know what to say. Marcus squeezed my hand under the table. They said I can reapply in a year if the situation is resolved, Paige continued. But everyone knows now. My entire cohort, my professors, the firms I interviewed with. Some of her friends approached cautiously. Paige, we had no idea. That is terrible what they did to your sister. Paige nodded numbly. I could see reality settling in. Her professional reputation had been damaged not by anything she did, but by the foundation her success was built on. Aunt Diane came and sat beside me. I am so sorry, Sienna. I knew something was wrong, but I did not realize the extent. It is not your fault, I said. I should have pushed harder. Should have asked more questions. Across the room Grandma Ruth sat with Colin, grimly satisfied but not happy. This was not victory. It was necessary devastation. An hour later, after most guests had left, a small group gathered in a side room. Grandma Ruth, Colin, Marcus, me. My parents had been asked to leave by staff. Colin laid out papers with practiced efficiency. Here is where things stand legally, he said. Criminal side. Embezzlement. Forgery. Fraud. I have filed a report with the district attorney. They will decide whether to prosecute. Civil side. Sienna, you can sue for full restitution plus damages. Given the evidence, you would win. What happens to my parents? I asked. For first-time offenders, likely probation and a restitution order. If the DA pushes hard or they do not cooperate, possible jail time. 6 months to 2 years. Grandma Ruth leaned forward. And Paige's degree. The university may investigate funding sources, but the degree itself remains valid. She completed the academic work. However, her reputation is damaged. That is a consequence, not a legal penalty. Marcus asked about the $30,000 used for personal expenses. That complicates things, Colin said. It shows intent beyond helping one child. I stared at the documents. This was real. This was happening. Sienna, Colin said gently. This is about making you whole, not revenge. You are entitled to $250,000 plus interest. That is what the law says. I do not want Paige punished, I said. She did not know. I want what was stolen from me and I want them to understand they cannot do this. Grandma Ruth nodded. That is exactly the right info, right approach. Colin pulled out a settlement proposal. They will need a payment plan. The question is how aggressive you want to be. I looked at the numbers, thinking about 7 years of struggle that should never have happened. My parents were waiting in the parking lot when we emerged. My father's eyes were red and swollen. My mother looked furious. She started immediately. You have destroyed this family. Are you happy now? I did not destroy anything, I said evenly. You did 10 years ago. My father stepped forward. What do you want from us? I want my $250,000 with interest. And I want you to understand what you did. We do not have that kind of money, my mother said. Then you will need a payment plan. Colin will arrange it. My father's voice broke. We are still your parents. I looked at him for a long moment. All the years of feeling invisible. All the casual dismissals. All the times I was told I was too strong to need help. And I am still your daughter, I said quietly. The one you stole from. The one you dismissed. The one you forgot about every time it was convenient. I loved you. I trusted you. And you chose to hurt me to help Paige. That is not parenting. That is betrayal. Sienna, please. I need space. Do not contact me until you are ready to make real amends. Not just sorry you got caught. We can talk, but not before. My mother's face twisted. After everything we have done for you, you did nothing for me, I said. That is the whole point. Marcus opened the car door. I got in without looking back. My father called after us. We love you. I did not respond. Love was not just words. It was actions. And their actions had spoken clearly for a decade. As we pulled away, I saw Grandma Ruth walking toward them. Whatever she had to say, they would hear it without me there. I had said everything I needed to say. 2 weeks after the party, Aunt Diane forwarded an email thread. Paige's consulting firm offer had been formally rescinded. Corporate, polite but clear. While Miss Blake was not personally responsible for misappropriation, the circumstances create reputational risk we cannot accept. I sat staring at the screen, feeling something complicated twist in my chest. Marcus found me on the couch. What is wrong? Paige's firm rescinded their offer, I said. She is applying elsewhere, but everyone is saying no. How do you feel about that? I thought about it. Sad. She is still my sister. She worked hard for that MBA. You are allowed to feel multiple things at once, Marcus said quietly. I know. I just do not want her destroyed. I wanted accountability, not ruin. Those are not always separable, he said. Actions have consequences. She benefited from fraud, even unknowingly. Paige had not reached out since the party. Neither had my parents, respecting the boundary I set or maybe not knowing what to say. My phone buzzed. A text from Grandma Ruth. Colin is meeting their attorney tomorrow. They are ready to negotiate settlement. Thought you should know. The legal machinery was turning. I had started this by asking questions. Now I had to see it through even when endings were not clean or satisfying. 3 months later, I stood in a courthouse conference room while Colin reviewed settlement documents. My father had pleaded guilty to reduced charges, embezzlement and breach of fiduciary duty. In exchange for cooperation and full restitution, the DA dropped forgery charges and recommended probation instead of jail. The terms were stark: $250,000 plus accumulated interest, approximately $280,000 total. Payment plan: 10 years at $2,800 per month. 2 years probation, mandatory family financial counseling, permanent removal as trustee from any future family trusts. Colin pointed to the last clause. This means he can never hold a position of financial trust in the family again. I signed my name at the bottom. My father had to refinance their house for the down payment and liquidate part of his retirement. My mother, part-time in real estate, had to find full-time work. The first payment arrived 3 weeks later. $2,800. I transferred it immediately to an investment account. I did not touch it for living expenses. This money represented stolen time, stolen opportunities, stolen peace of mind. Marcus watched me set up automatic monthly deposits. What are you going to do with it? He asked. Rebuild the future they stole, I said. Pay off my student loans. Eventually buy a place. Maybe start a veterans mentorship program. You are not going to treat yourself at all. Maybe once it feels like mine instead of returned property. Colin called that afternoon. The judge accepted the plea. Your father will start probation next month. He will have a criminal record for the rest of his life. How did he seem? I asked. Broken, Colin said honestly. But maybe that is necessary before he can rebuild into something better. I hoped so. I did not want my father destroyed. I just wanted him to understand. The money could not fix what had happened. But at least now the scales were closer to balanced. 6 months after the party, Paige texted me. Can we talk? I understand if you say no. I showed the message to Marcus. What do you think? What do you want to do? I am not sure yet. I waited 2 days before responding. Coffee. Public place. Saturday at 2. She arrived early at a corner table, hair pulled back simply, minimal makeup, jeans instead of designer clothes. Thanks for meeting me, she said as I sat down. I am listening. I am not here to make excuses, she continued. I need to say I am sorry. I waited. I got a job, she said. Smaller consulting firm. Not prestigious, but honest work. She twisted her coffee cup. I have been in therapy. I am starting to understand how much I took for granted. I knew Mom and Dad favored me. I knew they treated you differently. And I told myself it was because I needed more help and you were naturally stronger. She met my eyes. I was wrong. That was me justifying taking what was not fully mine. You did not know about the fraud, I said. No, but I did not ask questions either. I did not want to know if something was wrong because then I would have to face it. That felt honest. I cannot change what happened, Paige continued. But I want you to know I am paying you back too. She slid a paper across the table. A payment plan, $500 per month from her salary. Court did not order this, she said. But it is right. Half that money should have been yours, so I am giving you half of what I got. I looked at the paper, then at my sister. She looked older, worn down by consequences, but maybe more real than I had ever seen her. I am not asking you to forgive me, she said quietly. I am asking for a chance to be better. Eventually I folded the paper carefully. I appreciate this, but things will not go back to how they were. I know. The first Thanksgiving after everything I spent at Marcus's family home. His mother welcomed me like I had always belonged. His father made room at their crowded table without asking questions. It was warm and loud and nobody had decades of resentment brewing underneath. My phone buzzed during dessert. A text from my mother. You are really not coming. It is Thanksgiving. I typed back. I said I needed space. I meant it. 3 dots appeared, vanished, reappeared. How long is this going to go on? I set my phone down, frustrated. Marcus's mother caught my expression. Family trouble, she asked gently. They want things back to normal, but they have not actually changed. She patted my hand. Normal for them meant hurting you. You are allowed to want something different. That evening my father sent a separate email. Unlike my mother's texts, this one was different. Sienna, I know I have no right to ask for your time or attention. I am writing because my therapist says I need to be specific about what I am apologizing for, not just say sorry and expect forgiveness. I stole from you. I forged documents. I lied to your face and to my own mother. I prioritized one daughter over another and told myself it was justified. I let you believe you were not worth supporting. Every one of these things was wrong. I caused you real harm, financial, emotional, and relational. I cannot undo it. I can only work to become someone different. Someone you might eventually trust again. Even if you never want a close relationship, I understand if you need years of distance. You deserve that boundary. I just wanted you to know. I see what I did now. All of it. I read it 3 times. Thank you for this, I wrote back. It is a start, but rebuilding trust takes time. I went back to Marcus's family, to the warmth and laughter. Maybe someday I could have both, but not yet. With restitution payments coming in steadily, I made decisions about my future for the first time without financial desperation driving them. First, I paid off all my student loans. $23,000 gone in one payment. The relief was physical, like weight lifting off my shoulders. Second, I put a down payment on a small condo. Nothing fancy but mine. A place where nobody could take anything from me because I had earned every square foot. Third, and this one surprised even me, I started planning something bigger. I want to create a mentorship program, I told Marcus one evening, for veterans transitioning to civilian careers, help them navigate the things I had to figure out alone. That is a big undertaking, he said. I know, but I keep thinking about how the money was supposed to be for education, for opportunity. What if I made sure it actually served that purpose for people who need it? 3 months later I filed paperwork for the Blake Education Initiative, named after my grandfather. The first meeting had 12 veterans. We talked about resume building, networking, dealing with the disconnect between military and civilian culture. One woman started crying when we discussed feeling invisible after service. That is exactly how I felt, she said, like I did something important and nobody cared. I know, I said. I have been there. Marcus watched from the back of the room. Afterward he hugged me. You turned theft into legacy, he said. That money was always meant for education, I replied. Now it is helping more than just me. Grandma Ruth came to the second meeting, sitting quietly in the corner. When it ended she squeezed my hand. Your grandfather would be so proud. I learned from both of you, I said. How to stand up for what is right. You learned it yourself, she corrected gently. We just reminded you. 18 months after Grandma Ruth stood up at that MBA party, I can finally see the whole picture clearly. I wasted years being strong when what I actually needed was to be honest about being hurt. I thought keeping peace meant staying silent. It does not. It just means letting injustice continue while calling it love. The hardest lesson has been this. People who love you can still hurt you deeply. Maybe especially the people who love you because you trust them not to. And that is when boundaries matter most. Not to punish, but to protect yourself while healing happens. I did not ruin Paige's party. The truth did. I just stopped hiding it. My relationship with my father is slowly improving. We have dinner once a month. Clear boundaries in place. He is doing the work, real work, not just apologizing to make me comfortable. We talk about small things, rebuild trust in tiny increments. My mother is different. She is still angry that I made this public. She has not fully accepted responsibility. So our relationship remains strained, and I am okay with that. I cannot force her to change. Paige and I talk every few weeks now. She is engaged to someone from her firm, building a life that is genuinely hers. We are not close like some sisters, but we are honest. Sometimes that is better. Grandma Ruth is my rock. She taught me that dignity does not mean accepting mistreatment. It means refusing to accept it with grace. I do not regret pressing charges. I regret that it was necessary. But if the choice is between family peace and self-respect, I choose respect every time because I learned something crucial. You cannot have real peace without respect anyway. You just have people pretending everything is fine while wounds fester underneath. The Blake Education Initiative is expanding. We are helping 50 veterans this year. The money that was stolen is now creating opportunities for people who, like me, served their country and needed support coming home. Some people will call you bitter for not accepting crumbs from the table. Let them. You know the full meal you deserved. Thank you for staying with me through this story. It took courage to share, but if it helps even one person understand they do not have to accept mistreatment even from family, then it was worth it. Please like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Check the description for resources on family boundaries and financial elder abuse. What is your take? Was I wrong to press charges? Too harsh? Let me know in the comments. And if you have your own story of standing up to family injustice, I would love to hear it. Remember, you are allowed to protect yourself, even from people you love.